Hello. I am back on my grandfather's farm, which is in East Bernstead. That was probably my first memory of the farm, would have been on my grandfather's farm. Riding that old mule around, I guess, more so than anything. All of the plowing, all of the disking, all of the cultivating was done with a horse or a mule. A good horse, he almost plows for you. You're just there to hold the plow and turn him and start him and stop him, because he usually walks in that path that he gets used to, that's been laid out for him. That's what he's taught to do. I found a barn a couple of months ago, had a bunch of horse-drawn equipment in it, and I bought all of it. I don't know if I ever do anything with it, but I said I would like to maybe at some point maybe try to find a good horse and be able to show the kids the difference in that plowing with that tractor. I believe that plowing with a horse and a mule, your ground stayed softer rather than that weight of that tractor running through it that kind of packs it down, even though we still say we're disking it up, we're tilling it up, but the weight of it does make a difference. We were able to use the manure from the horses that we use. We just put it back into the garden as a fertilizer. Every community, there's history. Role models can be your local hometown people, and they don't have to be some movie star or some basketball player. There's actually role models right here in our community. And to me, some of those role models weren't necessarily professional people. Russell McKee, all he did all his life was, when we were growing up, all of the buildings uptown, the stores and the office buildings uptown, had coal furnaces in them, so he stayed up just about all night long, making sure that those furnaces in different buildings had coal in them, and the heat stayed on at night. We're not what you call your typical farm. Our farm is more of an educational farm. We do grow some stuff there that we use for our canning classes. We give a lot of to some of the elderly people in the community, but we don't really farm like for a profit. We slaughter probably 3 hogs a year, put the meat in the freezer, and in the wintertime when people are running low on food, we can share. I guess that comes from me. I'm not one of those people. I can't stand a meal with no meat in it, okay? Over the years, we've had some people that have asked for goat meat, so we kill 1 goat and 1 sheep a year, and then we share it. We have probably about 80 laying hens. We sell a lot of eggs from the chickens, and that helps offset the cost of the feed for the rest of the animals. I consider our food pantry a emergency food pantry. We don't have a day-to-day or a weekly food pantry. Our food pantry is usually where somebody will give somebody our name that is running short during the month or something like that. And so we usually try to catch and help people that are running short after they've either used up their Social Security or their food stamps, or just run short on food in general. We can a lot of stuff, and we're able to do that because we're giving it away. So since we're giving it away, we don't have to label it. So we don't have to go through the process of getting labels and stuff like that on it, because we're not really selling it. So we've canned some tomatoes this year. Got some peppers we canned. We made some jellies and jams and things like that that we also give away. We say that we live in the greatest country in the world, but we send all kinds of food and money to other countries that are starving, and we have people right here at home that are starving. We still have people that are living on a fixed income that are not really drawing a lot, because whenever they either started paying into it, they wasn't making a whole lot of money, so quite naturally they're not drawing as much money. but they've worked all of their life, and they struggle with, have to make a choice of, do I pay my electric bill or do I eat? In most cases, people are paying their electric bill and their water bill and their rent, because those are the necessities of life, and then they struggle with trying to figure out how to get decent, edible food. One year we got a truckload of watermelon because the pallet had dirt on it when it got to the distribution center. Anybody with common sense knows that the watermelon are loaded in a field. So if the driver don't give it to us, he's told to just dump it. I think if more people had to work in a garden for what they eat, they would throw less of it away. They would find a way to preserve it. We're working this farm because at the end of the day, you never know when you may want to or you may have to fall back on this. And I think that if a lot more people did fall back on it, then we probably wouldn't have as many of these food pantries going on around our city and around the country. The more food that we can raise locally, typically it should be make the food product cheaper to where people can afford the good, healthy food that they normally would not be able to get because it's being trucked in, and once it's trucked in, you have the broker fee, you got the truck driver fee, you got the fuel, all those things that just keep running the price of it up. I don't know of anything that I would rather be doing other than what I'm doing right now. And I've done other things. I've run a construction crew for probably 20 years, remodeling and building houses and things like that. But I think I get more joy out of this than I did any of that. There was lots more money in it when I was out there doing that, but the money is not as important now as it seemed like it was back then. My sister and my brother-in-law that raised me, Joyce and Junior Carson, probably my school teacher, Ernestine House, and then my vocational teacher, who was Charles Hillard, and I always think of Reverend Hill as my pastor growing up, have always been great role models and great influences in my life. Reverend Hill taught us a lot about loving our neighbors and just loving people for who they are and understanding that we don't always agree with each other, but at the end of the day, we still have to love each other, I guess I think about him a lot whenever I get angry and when people just try to twist things and, I don't know, it seems like that destruction is coming around you and you have to fall back on people like that,